Okay, you've probably seen the headlines, right? Starbucks is closing hundreds of stores. And you might be thinking, is this it? Is the coffee giant finally starting to crumble? Well, the answer is way more complicated, and honestly, a lot more interesting than that. See, this isn't just another story about a business in trouble. It's about a company trying to find its way back, to rediscover its soul.
I mean, let's be real. Have you noticed this too? It feels like those closed signs are popping up everywhere lately. You walk down the street and your favorite lunch spot is gone, that little coffee shop on the corner. It's a tough scene out there. And it's not just the small local places feeling the heat.
Nope, this is hitting the big guys too, and I'm talking about the household names. In 2025 alone, we've seen a wave of closures from places like Wendy's, Denny's, Papa John's, Jack in the Box, even Outback Steakhouse. The list just keeps going. They're all cutting loose hundreds of stores that just aren't making the cut.
But Starbucks? That just hits different, doesn't it? I mean, this is the company that's everywhere. It's more than just coffee. It's a cultural landmark. So when a giant like that announces it's closing 500 stores, you've got to wonder, is this a sign they're in trouble? Or is something else going on? Well, let me tell you, this is absolutely a calculated move. And it's part of a much, much bigger plan. All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the widespread shutdown hitting the whole industry. Then, we'll dive into how Starbucks kind of lost its way. After that, we'll get into the comeback plan, their back to Starbucks strategy. We'll see how closing 500 stores is actually a key part of that plan. And finally, we'll talk about their big attempt at rebuilding that original feeling. Okay, let's start with part one, the widespread shutdown. Before we can really get what's going on with Starbucks, we need to zoom out a bit, because it's been a really tough year for the entire restaurant industry. And look, the numbers here really tell the story. In 2025, customer traffic at U.S. restaurants just fell off a cliff. Think about it, with prices going up for everything, people are just eating out less. And when fewer people are walking in the door month after month, with the single exception of July, it puts a massive squeeze on these big chains. They're forced to make some really hard decisions. But here's the thing, a tough economy is one thing, but the problems at Starbucks, they go way deeper than that. This is about a company that slowly drifted away from what made it special in the first place. So let's talk about it, how Starbucks lost its way. You know, the whole idea behind Starbucks, the thing that made it revolutionary, was this concept of the third space. It's a simple but brilliant idea. You've got home, you've got work, and Starbucks was meant to be that third place, a cozy spot where you could just hang out, connect with people, and feel like you're part of a community. But something shifted along the way. That original promise of a cozy hangout spot, it got replaced by a new reality. Starbucks became less of a community hub and more of a pickup point. The focus wasn't on connection anymore. It was all about efficiency and speed. Get in, get your drink, get out. And this didn't happen overnight. It was a slow creep, a series of decisions that all pushed in one direction. It started way back in 1994 with the first drive-thru, then a huge leap in 2015 with mobile ordering. By 2021, a quarter of all U.S. sales were mobile orders. Each step was designed to make things faster, more convenient. But with every step, a little piece of that third space magic just disappeared. And here's the wildest part. They knew it was happening. As far back as 2007, the CEO at the time, Howard Schultz, wrote this now famous internal memo. He basically said, hey everyone, we're losing the distinctive experience that made us special. He saw the writing on the wall over a decade ago, but the company kept pushing for more speed, more growth, more efficiency. Okay, so fast forward to today, Starbucks is at another major crossroads, but this time it looks like they're finally ready to make a change. They're launching this massive new plan, a $1 billion bet on getting back to what they do best, human connection. It's literally called the Back to Starbucks plan. And I'm not kidding about that number, $1 billion. When you put that kind of money on the table, you know this isn't just some clever marketing slogan. This is a complete top-to-bottom overhaul of how they do business. So what do you get for $1 billion? Well, first, they're refocusing on coffee and human connection. That's the new mantra. To do that, they're simplifying the menu by about 30%. That makes things faster and less stressful for the staff. They're rolling out a new system called Green Apron Service to get baristas out from behind the counter so they can actually talk to you. And the biggest piece of the puzzle? They're completely remodeling over 1,000 cafes to make them feel warm and welcoming again. All right, now let's get to the headline news, the closures. I know, it sounds weird, right? Our big plan to grow is to shut down stores. But it turns out closing stores is actually a critical part of building the company back up. So we're talking about roughly 500 stores across North America. And you might think, okay, 500, they have thousands. But this is a really big strategic shift. Think of it like pruning a plant. You have to cut away the parts that aren't thriving to let the rest of it grow stronger and healthier. So this is super important. These closures aren't a sign of failure. They're a sign of focus. They're deliberately moving away from that old strategy of just plastering a Starbucks on every single street corner. The new thinking is fewer stores, but better stores.
And you can really see the difference here. On the one hand, you have the old style of cafe, designed for one thing, speed. Get in, grab your stuff from the big pickup shelf, and leave. But the new, uplifted cafes, totally different vibe. We're talking warmer lighting, comfier seating, layouts that actually invite you to sit down and stay for a while. It's a night and day difference. So why not just uplift every store? Well, it's not that simple. For a lot of these 500 locations, it's just not possible. Maybe their lease won't let them renovate, or the store is just physically too small for the new design. Or, maybe they were just losing money. For these spots, the smartest business move is to just close up shop and put that money towards a location that has more potential.
So this all brings us to the billion-dollar question. Literally, is any of this actually working? Let's talk about rebuilding that feeling and whether the strategy is paying off. And there are some early signs of life, which is really encouraging. Look, after 7 straight quarters of sales going down, they finally flattened out in the last quarter of 2025. Now, flat isn't growth, but it's a huge deal because it means they've stopped the bleeding. It's the first sign that maybe, just maybe, the ship is starting to turn around.
But the fundamental challenge is still there. And honestly, this comment I saw on Reddit just nails it perfectly. The person wrote, 4 minutes or less, but they want a love letter on every cup. And that's the whole problem in a nutshell, right? Starbucks wants lightning-fast service and a deep personal connection. Can you actually do both at the same time?
Which leaves us with the final big question. For decades, Starbucks literally trained us, the customers, to value speed above everything else. We mobile order, we use the drive-thru, we grab and go. And now they're trying to reteach us how to slow down and stay. So the real question is, can a brand that was built for speed ever relearn how to make you want to stick around?